PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News. We have a great show for you tonight with stories from our communities.
We'll meet a Pembroke resident starring in a major production, and we'll stop into the Plymouth Air Show.
We'll take you on a whale and shark expedition and to an oyster festival in Duxbury.
And our arts and entertainment segment for this fall brings you some great Halloween pumpkin decorating tips.
Town Talk brings Plymouth's town manager to the set, and we begin tonight learning about a Kingston foundation promoting computers for kids. The Kingston elementary and intermediate schools have successfully upgraded their technology departments over the years. But now there's a new nonprofit group, the Kingston Foundation for Education, that has teamed up with the school system to raise money to help move the schools even further into the world of educational technology. The Kingston Foundation for Education is hosting a fundraising event on October 17th at the Indian Pond Country Club, with all of the proceeds going directly to the schools. PCN sat down with the group's president to learn more about their 5-year plan about technology.
Kingston Foundation for Education is a group of local parents in the town of Kingston with students that are currently in the schools or have kids that are going to be matriculating soon. We started our foundation this year and are focused on a couple of events over the next 6 months, specifically to raise money to support Kingston elementary and intermediate schools. We are viewing the school system as the leader of our organization. We want to fund and pursue projects that the school system feels are important in terms of providing technology for the kids at the Kingston schools.
As the technology director for the school system, we have realized that technology is increasingly vital to the educational mission of the schools. Many of our students utilize online programs such as Google Drive. They are accessing their math curriculum, their reading curriculum, their English language curriculum online. So being able to provide them with the technology they need is something that we have to do. It's not really an option. We've made tremendous strides over the last several years adding technology to the schools. Through the support of our community, the town, and other organizations, we've been able to add projectors for every classroom. We're adding mobile devices such as Chromebooks, iPads, interactive projectors. This technology has made a tremendous difference in the education of our students. Going forward, we have a 5-year plan that we are working towards improve infrastructure. We're improving things such as the wireless capability in schools for mobile devices. We are hoping to be able to add Chromebooks at Kingston Intermediate for the students. At Kingston Elementary, we're looking to add iPads and Apple TVs in all the classrooms.
Kingston Foundation for Education is really excited to be bringing the community closer to the schools, helping to support the efforts that the schools are setting forth. Clearly, they've made a lot of progress so far, but we are truly interested in helping to move the schools into the next phase of the world of technology.
Sam Lathrop, a young actor from Pembroke, is playing the lead in the stage production of Tennessee Williams' The Glass Menagerie at the Company Theater. Although Lathrop has starred in several other musical stage productions, this will be the first time he's acting without singing. PCN met up with him to get some insight into his preparation for the dialogue-heavy role.
Yeah, because the first one's going a little bit dead.
Dead, okay.
So you need 2 of you getting here.
I got involved in the show early in the summer. This was actually a really long audition process. I met Joe at the first audition, and we worked for a long time. And then at the end of the summer, I came in for callbacks, and now I'm here. The beard is definitely part of the show. This is not my normal look.
Yeah, you're moving suspended. You're moving to...
It's been great working with Sam. He's a great young actor, and it's been a real pleasure to watch him grow over the past few months of working on this play. It's a really difficult play. It's a really dense text, and the character of Tom, which Sam plays, has so many different colors, so many different emotions, so much he has to go through in the play. And it's been a real joy to watch Sam embrace that and grow, I think, as an actor and hopefully, you know, as a performer in general. So he'll take something from this experience onto his next show.
Again?
She loves to tell it.
Getting into this character has actually been a lot easier than any other character because the character of Tom is actually based on Tennessee Williams. Tennessee Williams is the person who wrote the play. And he based the character of Tom after himself. His real name in real life is actually Thomas Lanier Williams. So I have all of this information, all these biographies and collected short stories to grasp at and to hold on to, and it's been a great informative piece to be able to look at all that work.
Just good fortune, a little bit of luck, a little good fortune.
I hope that we get a lot of people in to see the show that know the piece. A lot of people study it in high school, so they have an idea of what the Glass Menagerie is and what it's like, and I think they'll be surprised when they come in and see this production. We've really worked hard at making the family the center of this piece, so that it's universal to anybody that comes and sees it. They will see their parents, they'll see their siblings, they'll hopefully see themselves, and they'll understand the play much better than they did when they were studying it in high school and just looking at sort of the symbolism and the nuts and bolts of it. There's a really interesting, sometimes fun, sometimes dramatic, sometimes shocking family drama at the core of the play.
I have tricks in my pocket. I have things up my sleeve. When I'm on stage, being Tom is pretty easy for me because there's a lot of things that I relate to about Tom, which I think that the audience will also be able to see. He's a restless soul. He's a creative person. He wants to create and move in the world and move up in his societal position. What I want people to take away from this production is Glass Menagerie is usually sort of a tragic show, and I think that what we've found in this production is that we play the positivity of it. So I hope that people will feel happy and joyful when they leave this show.
Darn it.
Oh.
The Plymouth Airport held its annual air show last month, and thousands of people attended, coming from all over, by car and by plane, to see demonstrations and tours, join in family activities, and watch an aerobatic show. The event was sponsored by the Plymouth Aero Club, and PCN stopped in to meet the organizers and check out all of the activities.
The air shows have been held here at Plymouth Airport since the early 1960s. It started out just a family day. Members of the Aero Club would bring their airplanes out for people to visit and see them, and gradually it's grown into what it is today. We hold the air show every 2 years. It really began as just a way to get people to come out to the airport and see what general aviation is like. These are all general aviation airplanes that are owned by private individuals who use them for business and for pleasure. And we just want to let the people know what it's like to be at an airport, and that's the way it's been since the 1960s when the Aero Club was formed. We had a lot of activities here at the airport today. The Remax hot air balloon was here from the early morning. Wingbusters, which is a model airplane club based here locally, came and did a fabulous model airplane show, including a jet that was flown here 180 miles an hour. It only had a wingspan of about 5 feet. And then, of course, our featured performer today is Mike Goulian. Mike is a world-famous Red Bull air racer, aerobatic performer. He has an extra 300 SC that's based here in Plymouth. He goes all over the world with that airplane and performs in air shows. I think the most important thing to note about Plymouth Airport that's happened since the 1960s is that it is a full-service general aviation airport. You can come here and have airplanes serviced. You can learn to fly here. You can rent airplanes here. The State Police helicopter is based here. MedFlight helicopter service is based here. There's so many things going on. Perhaps not one thing that's world famous, but there's a continuous amount of activity here. And it's a very friendly airport to the neighborhood and also to aviators who come here. People fly here from all over the country. So if flying in those little airplanes is something you'd like to try, we hope the viewers come out and visit Plymouth Airport and give it a try someday.
It was something I've been interested in since I was a kid, and when I finally got the opportunity, I just decided to go out and do my, basic lessons and got hooked on it. The plane is it's called a Vans RV6. It's a kit plane. You actually build them yourself. I didn't build this one. I bought it, but it's built basically by an amateur. And there's thousands of them out there. It's a very popular kit plane. It's about 1,056 pounds. The gross weight is about 650, so it's a pretty reasonable plane to fly. It cruises about 160 miles an hour, burns about 7.5 gallons an hour. Those are the types of things that pilots kind of look for in planes. And pretty rugged, very simple plane. I take it mostly in the general area here, over to Martha's Vineyard. Flight to Montauk is a lot of fun. From here to Montauk's a half an hour. The drive is way longer than that, obviously, so it's kind of cool to be able to pop over to Montauk and have lunch and pop back here. So I generally don't do a lot of long cross countries, mostly Saturday afternoon flying. And I would just encourage anybody who ever wanted to try and fly to come out and fly, because flying is just a great sport. Little expensive, I think, for some people, but if you really want to do it, you can get into an ultralight, something much less expensive. So there's lots of ways of doing it. I would just encourage anybody to fly if they ever wanted to do it.
The Windsor House Inn in Duxbury celebrated the first of what it hopes will be many food and wine festivals. This year's event featured oysters of all types, soups, chowders, hot foods, a raw bar, and, of course, wine and other cocktails. PCN stopped in to get a peek.
This is a wonderful community of food and wine lovers, and what better way to bring them all together than to have our first annual Duxbury Food and Wine Festival. And we're on the last day of it, the last hurrah, the last stretch.
The weather's been fantastic, and we've had some great food on display today. Obviously, being in Duxbury, we had some great oysters here just from down the road. We had oysters three ways, had a Rockefeller, a great oyster stew, and what better than half oysters on the shell with great condiments. Also, we've been featuring some flatbreads, all handmade and hand grilled.
We certainly lucked out with weather today. It's an incredibly beautiful day, 90-degree weather. We're here with lots of wonderful people from the town of Duxbury to celebrate, and really a fantastic 4 days worth of events. We, as owners of the Windsor House Inn, are thrilled to be hosting this year and look forward to many more years with the Duxbury Food and Wine Festival.
Being a community that supports a dozen or so oyster farmers who produce the best oysters on the planet, this is a wonderful event to celebrate that great product in our community. And we've got some cranberry touches here and there because we have a lot of bogs as well. Our featured cocktail today is the Duxbury Bog, and everyone's enjoying it. I see one in everybody's hands. I look around. We're thrilled to be a part of this first time ever event, and to make the Windsor House available as a venue for this great gathering.
This summer, Plymouth's Whale and Dolphin Conservation held a whale and shark expedition out of Hyannis. PCN was invited along aboard ship with marine experts such as Regina Asmutis Silvia, who's the senior biologist and executive director for Whale and Dolphins Conservation's North American office, John Chisholm with the Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries, and field naturalist and birder Peter Trull for an incredible day right off the Massachusetts coast.
Expedition 2014 in search of white sharks, whales, and birds to benefit the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy and Whale and Dolphin Conservation.
Going around and down. I'm going around the race right now.
This is the first time anybody's done a trip like this, and so we're very excited to be a part of it, and we also had a lot of great interest for this trip as well. We did sell out all the available tickets that we had, and so we're hoping that this trip will actually be an annual trip that we can put on year after year.
So this is our first year partnering with the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy for this expedition, Great White Sharks and Whales. And we did this for two reasons. The first was to build awareness for both of our organizations, and the second is as a fundraiser. As a marine conservation organization, we rely heavily on donations, and this was one way both to bring awareness to the work that we do, as well as to raise some money.
So see how much bigger, even that breath, it's a much bigger breath. The calves can't hold their breath as long as the moms can. Their lungs are still quite a bit smaller, so they can't hold as much air.
So Whale and Dolphin Conservation is a global organization, and many people don't realize that our North American headquarters are here in Plymouth, Mass. So for an international organization to have such a small hometown office is unusual, and that's part of the reason why we did this trip, is so people would know that we were here.
There's the flipper again. We do just call that flipper slapping, because that's exactly what it's doing. It's slapping that flipper on the surface. So this whale's kind of on its side right now, rolling over a little bit. All right, both whales side by side now. So far on this trip, we've seen two different types of large whales, baleen whales. We've had a number of humpback whales that we've seen, and also a couple of finback whales, which are the largest animal on the planet. So it's always really interesting and very neat when we get to see them, especially up close. Two of the humpback whales that we saw so far on this trip have had calves or babies with them. So that's always really neat to see as well, to have the mothers teaching their calves everything that they need to know to survive. And we're able to see that right off of our coast. And we had two of them, not just one, but we had two, and so that was a really neat sighting. And one of those mothers with her calf, it was the first time this year that we've seen them up in this area, so it was actually a really important sighting for us to have, to be able to track their condition and how they're doing. Look for a tail.
Really, the number one question we get from people is how many sharks are there, and we don't know. So that's why we're starting this study, to try to identify as many as individuals and also tag any sharks that we can. We're not so much focused on tagging as we have been in the past, but we will, if we have the opportunity, put some tags out, and then that allows us to track the sharks while they're here and also when they leave here. A lot of people are surprised that, you know, there was a white shark in Cape Cod Bay, but the fact is, historically, white sharks have always been part of Massachusetts fauna. Going back to colonial days, there's been white sharks documented in Cape Cod Bay. There's been white sharks in Buzzards Bay. You know, they've been here, and I think what we're seeing now is their food source, which had been basically exterminated from this area, is now back. And they've discovered their seals back, so they're coming, doing what they do. They eat seals, and so we're seeing more of them because we're seeing the growing seal numbers. But they're not just here for seals. A lot of people don't realize they eat other things too, and they even eat spiny dogfish. So it's not unheard of for them to be in Cape Cod Bay, Massachusetts Bay, all the way up. We got sharks that we've tagged that go all the way up to Newfoundland, Canada, all the way south down into the Gulf of Mexico.
They usually have a turf next to us here, right along the boat, on the left side.
Oh, right next to us here.
guys. 10 o'clock.
We now bring you our arts and entertainment fall segment with some great Halloween pumpkin decorating ideas.
Halloween is a great time of year to have a little good-spirited spooky fun. Telling ghost stories by candlelight, admiring the colorful fall foliage. Pumpkins also seem to be everywhere this time of year. So here are a few and safe carve-free pumpkin crafts you can do at home to get you in the spirit. You're going to need a few supplies: some lace, thumbtacks, school glue, a paintbrush, a plastic knife, a pair of wire cutters, a drill, scissors, tissue paper, and of course, pumpkins. The first project is a lace and stud pumpkin. You will need lace, tacks, scissors, and a little patience. The first step is to take your lace and tack it to the bottom of the pumpkin next to the stem base. Trim any extra lace and don't crowd the tacks too much on the bottom. After you've attained your desired pattern, tack a nice bow on top if your pumpkin is lacking a stem. Create the crosshatch. Carefully tack the lace in an even horizontal fashion around the pumpkin. Once all your tacks are in place, you'll have a beautiful finished product with a little edge. The next project is a papier-mâché pumpkin. This one is a little messy. You'll need tissue paper, glue, water, a paintbrush, and a plastic knife. The first step is to create your glue-water mix. It's a little less glue than there is water. Be sure to fully mix the adhesive. Then brush on some of the glue water mix and begin to apply your tissue paper. Be sure to brush over the top to create a nice smooth surface. Let the wet paper dry for several hours before adding any elaborations. The final project is floral pumpkins. You will need silk or real flowers, a drill, wire cutters, and a piece of lace. The first step is to use your wire cutters to trim off some desired silk flowers. No need for the wire cutters if you're using real flowers. Next, you want to carefully drill holes in your pumpkin. Be careful not to drill through the pumpkin. Continue on to create a floral pattern that suits your tastes. Add some finishing touches with some lace, and you'll have a beautiful fall centerpiece. Those are 3 easy and safe pumpkin crafts you can do at home. Tweet us your pumpkin creations at PCN Director or on Facebook at PACTV Community News. I'm Maureen Bates with your Arts and Entertainment Report, PACTV Community News.
Tonight's Town Talk comes from Plymouth with Plymouth's Town Manager, Melissa Arrighi. Welcome.
Thank you.
We do have the Plymouth Town Meeting preview coming up, and we're going to record it here at PACTV, and it will be on the government channel. What is it about the preview for the town meeting that's so important?
Town meeting preview is a tradition that you do in Plymouth, and I think it's very helpful. Town moderator Steve Trifletti has us all come together, both the department heads as well as the chairman of the Finance Committee, chairman of the Board of Selectmen, to take a look at what is on the warrant for your October 18th town meeting and talk about what some of those issues are. It not only shows you what you will be voting on and what the public knows that their town meeting representatives will be addressing and deliberating, but also you understand the process better and what the flow of town meeting will be.
Great. Okay, that's wonderful. The 1820 project, we've talked about it before. Let's just get a quick update.
Great. It's a subject that I like to talk about. It's a wonderful project to build a new town hall in this day and age in the heart of the downtown. The public will start to see demolition. It will begin on the inside of the structures starting in October, November, end of this month, into November and December, and then early in the year, early winter, you'll see those buildings come down.
Okay.
So real progress.
All right. And the estimated date is sometime in 2017?
Late spring 2017, early summer of 2017.
Okay, wonderful. That's very exciting. Medical marijuana is a big subject, and it's coming here to Plymouth. So can you speak to that?
Plymouth is a very desirable location for this industry as well. And they are looking, there is one particular foundation that is looking to establish a growing facility, a farm, an enclosed farm here in Plymouth, right in the area that we're sitting in, Industrial Park Road. They would like the Board of Selectmen, the executive branch, to provide them with a letter of support for both their facility, their business, and that particular location. The board's debated this a couple times, and the selectmen, we're anticipating they'll make a final decision on letting this company know if they will either support them or not oppose them going to this particular location.
Okay.
The Department of Public Health regulations that have come out about growing facilities are still advancing.
Yeah.
They're still being finalized. This is new for all of us here in Massachusetts. So one of the requirements is that this medical facility be 500 feet at a minimum away from a school facility or a daycare facility or a dance school. And those are some of the things that the town had to look at to make sure that location where this group would like to go will work.
Okay. And when will the final decision be made, or is there more legislation going on about this?
It's always hard to anticipate if the DPH regulations will continue to evolve, and I believe they will, but I think you'll see the executive branch make a decision on this soon.
Okay. Are there any other areas in Plymouth that they looked at, or is this the only location?
No, there are a few locations here in Plymouth, all of them in this basic area. One very close to your studio, right up the street. Those haven't progressed to this stage. They had to get through, the companies had to get through a couple stages of the DPH, Department of Public Health process. And the companies that were looking at the other buildings did not advance. So this is the group we're dealing with now.
Okay, more to follow.
Yes.
Okay. Burial Hill update?
Burial Hill has so much going on, and it's refreshing to see that there has been such a commitment to that site in the recent past. So we're looking at lighting. We're looking at making it handicap accessible. That's going to be difficult because of the very structure itself,
right.
The age, what is there, how we have to respect that historic preservation. But we are looking at handicap accessibility, lighting, new pathways, restoration of the stones, and that work is all beginning now.
Okay. What about the Manamet Youth Center?
Manamet Youth Center was a new subject that came up. We had announced at a selectmen's meeting that participation in the youth center was really down. We know that it's a service that the folks in Manamet and a lot of the families love, but when participation became so low, it really wasn't sustainable. We announced that we may have to close the facility just for some of the programming, the after-school care. And people really came out, and that's part of our whole governing process, is that you do get those families involved. We had parents come out, we had students get engaged, and now the Board of Selectmen has chosen to put together a small working group that will make this work. They're already doing fundraising. They have 2 events planned that they're looking at, so I think you'll see it turn around.
So you're going to keep it going?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. And really quickly, the Water Street Promenade?
The only update I have on the Water Street Promenade is people seem overall very happy with it. Where you see the roundabout in the middle, we've been talking as staff about what could go there that would really look lovely in the downtown area, and we have thought we would recommend a Mariner flagpole. We thought it would look really beautiful in the area, kind of support that whole marine look of the downtown. So we're going to run that by the selectmen and hopefully get support.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome.
A lot of good updates today.
Yep.
Great. Thanks so much for watching this week's show. Replay times are listed on our website, PACTV.org, or you can catch us on YouTube by searching for the PACTV Community News Channel. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to receive previews and links to all of our stories. Our new monthly show, PCN In Depth, will air Friday, October 17th with a new episode. We'll focus on drug addiction and the drug epidemic facing the South Shore. Be sure to watch PCN In Depth, and we'll be back next week for another edition of PCN. So see you then.